Welcome to HArchery, everyone. This week we're going to go through a little bit of what we talked about last week. Now we're going to do a little product comparison. The way we're going to set this up is we're going to think of a product and then we're going to come up with a good version of that product, a better version of that product, and a best version of that product. We're going to start the feature with a bit of technical explaining about what the component does and the desirable features you might look for in this component, and then list those three products fitting the three titles: good, better and best. And the aim of this is to try and make sure that we kind of give everyone at all different levels that chance of finding something that might be good for them. So the good version will be the product we would recommend to people that are on a budget. The better version will have a few more features and maybe a higher quality. Really, if you get it set up right, it could take you anywhere really. And then the best one is going to be a world-leading example of this component, and it's going to have exceptional quality and has all the features you need. You'll see it commonly used by the top archers in the world, but that's not going to be the reason why we give for it being the best. You know, we want to come up with some actual quantitative justification of why this product is the best, not just say, oh, it's used by all the top people, they shoot really well. So there we go. And we'd love to know your opinions on this. Did we get it right? What would your list be? So there we go. This week, the product we've chosen to do to start it all off with, it's quite a simple one, I guess, to start off with, but we wanted to start easy. And we're going to be doing all about buttons. So give you a little technical video to start off with. I'll meet you back here and we'll talk about which buttons we would put in our good spot, our better spot, and our best spot. Can you guess what they are? Roll the clip. So now for some slightly technical stuff to hopefully explain how a button works. We're using James Park software here. The link will be included below so you can download it and have a play. We're going to revisit this in depth later because I find it really interesting. I've already entered my bow details and the button details as well. This will give us event timings and some other information on arrow flight. This has all been verified by slow motion footage of international archers. Over here there's some graphs of the button displacement with time. You can see it gradually getting pushed into the bow and then out again. And if we just step through the arrow cycle here, the number displayed is the time in milliseconds, so it leaves things at 1.7 milliseconds. If we keep on going to the 6.5 milliseconds, this is when it leaves the button. That's so it's where it's 0 there on the graph. If we change that to pressure, you can see this initial little hit on the button at 1 newton, and it goes up to 6 newtons for about 3 milliseconds. 6 newtons is about 1.35 pounds, or roughly the weight of a basketball, so it's not light at all. We're going to keep on cycling through till it leaves the bow, and then you can see it's got that maximum displacement just as it passes through the bow, and that's what you're looking for with a well-tuned bow. It's going to be about 14 millimeters away from the bow there, well away from the bow for the fletchings and the knock to clear it, so there'll be no interference on its flight. I've put it next to a video of my shooting slowed down, and you can see that the curve of the simulation really closely matches the curve from my bow. That's the technical bit out of the way. We're now moving on to the exciting bit. Here's our good button. It's the one and only Shibuya DX plunger button, straight out of Japan. I haven't got one of these on me, although I thought I did, so I've borrowed this picture here from Archery. There's lots of reviews already, so I'm not going to go into it too much, and I'll put a link to the good ones below. As you can see, it comes in 8 different colours. There's a blue, green, silver, gold, pink, orange, red and black. If you can't find a colour out of them that matches your bow, then there's no helping you really, is there? It's a relatively cheap button, starting at £25, which is what we're aiming for. As a beginner, I would definitely choose this button. Quality is really good compared to other buttons at that price point. It's got the spanner flats on it, which will let you tighten it right down onto the bow so it's not going to rattle loose. The quality of the grub screws as well is really high, so they're not going to rattle loose either. I should also mention the spring is really consistent, which is very important for a button, as you can imagine after seeing the technical video. With the 2 grub screws there, you have the choice of either macro adjustment or micro adjustment, and once you've done it you can just set them and forget. Choosing the better button was tough. In the end it came down to these 2 for me. This offering from Spigarelli and this from Fivix. Both of them are micro adjustable. Both of them you can lock off the adjusting really easily, so they're not going to move around. They both got stainless steel threaded parts, although I suspect they're 304 rather than 316 or 316L. Have nicely anodized bodies. In the end, for me, the Fivix button won, simply because this tip is one piece, whereas on the Spigarelli you can see that it's a little push-in tip, and these tips, they do wear down, and you need to make sure that replacing them is easy in case you need to do it in an emergency really. As you can hear, the clicks on this nice and positive, so you're not going to end up in between clicks, you know exactly where you are. The window here is also very clear to read. You've got your numbers there with an indicator, so you can see exactly what force the spring's providing. Now if we have a closer look at what comes in the pack, you get this nice pot. You can open that up. And inside you get some instructions. Get a nice graph of the spring scale and how that relates to the force on the arrow, and then a nice exploded diagram as well. Also in the pack you get this nice tool, which is for doing the button up tightly on your bow, make sure it doesn't come loose. It's got this handy little storage place for the Allen key as well, which is good, so you're not going to lose it if you've got somewhere safe to keep it. You can always tie it onto your quiver through this hole here. And that fits nice and snugly in the in that collar there. Good positive engagement. Also in the pack you get spare springs and a spare plunger, and I think as well these grub screws and the nylon pads, which is useful for fixing it if they ever rattle loose and drop out. And that is the SM740 from Fivix. If you haven't guessed it already, there can only be one button on the top spot. It's this one from Biter. So there's probably not too much I can add to the conversation in terms of reviews that have probably already been done. But a few key points that I'll point out. The finish on these buttons is absolutely incredible. You can't see any flaws in that aluminium body there. The anodize is absolutely perfect. The steel is the same for the button. Made out of stainless steel. You can't see any corrosion. I've had this button years. This has got to be, you know, good, I don't know, 10 years old probably. It's perfect. The features I like about this button are its ability to lock it in place and easily adjust it as well. I can just unlock it there and now it's indexed. And you can hear those clicks are really positive still after a good decade of being used. You see it's clear marking both on the barrel here as well as on the body as well. So you can easily, I like to use it in the wind. I can add clicks to kind of counteract the wind. And when it go back to shooting again in the calm, I know exactly where to put it straight away. Also, if you're tuning, like I like to tune really with poundage and just leave the button where it is, but if you just want to try something, then that's easy to do as well. Another feature I really like are these cutaways here, which allow you to use the spanner which is supplied with the button. Locks in there nicely and you can get it really tight against your bow. So many times I've seen people with buttons that have rattled loose during a competition or practice or whatever, their arrows start going everywhere and they can't work it out. And all it is their button needs tightening up. You can see on the Shibuya that did have flats on it, which allows you to get a spanner on there, but this is just a bit more of a positive engagement. You're not going to round them off either with the plastic spanners provided. You get plenty of spare plungers in the kit. You also get 3 hardnesses as spring, and you have a spare for each one as well, so that will keep you going for plenty of time. So in the pack also you get this chart which shows you the strength of each of the springs. I like to use just the standard one that's in there already, and I just stick it on kind of around 5 or 6 and then use the poundage or the arrow length to tune the bow. You can also see here there's the variety of screw lengths it comes in, and there's also the colours it comes in. They've also added to this a pink one in the custom colours. So there it is. Right button. So there we go, that's our list. Do you agree with it? If not, comment below. Let us know what you'd choose for your good, better and best options. See you next week.
So it's Sunday. I've just shot 200 arrows with the lightweight bow. It's just a bare bow that I've got set up. 31-pound draw weight, and yeah, just no stabilizers or anything like that. Now what I'm going to do is do an end with the lightweight bow, focusing on maintaining the pace of my shot, and then I'm going to pick up my field bow, one that I use for competition, specifically for field shooting. This is a 44-pound draw weight, and then I'm running with the Shrewd Onyx stabilizers on there, so it's got a fair amount of mass to it as well. And then yeah, just going to do 5 shots with this and then swap back and just alternate for the last 100 shots or so with that. $275. The 5 at the bottom is the 5 arrow ends, and the rest of those are 10 arrow ends with the 31-pounder. Basically, I'm going to use the field bow to go up to the 300 arrow mark, and then I'm off to the gym for a CV session. And then yeah, tomorrow's a new week, so you'll hear more about that next week. Stay cool, people.